Good morning again, Extension English. This is just our second video. With this one, it really is very much specific to our week 1 work. So I'm going to jump right down past all of this. And what you'll see here is it's actually term 2, week 1 to 3. Now, rather than giving you work in each individual week, given this is a independent research project, there is a lot of, space for you to explore in your own time and in your own way. But I also wanted to give you some guidance and some structures to help support you to have sort of key indicators of where you might be at the end of certain weeks. So there'll be a lot of conferencing involved and a lot of checkpoints. I've actually put in 3 checkpoints for this, and we'll talk further about that. But to begin with, just here in the resources column, you'll see that there's the guide to your related project. This is the overall guide, and we've looked at this already before, but I wanted to just go through it again with you. So in theory by now, and I don't have all of this information yet, but I'm hoping that you have it and you just haven't given it to me yet, that is that you've chosen your text and you know what you're studying. Some of you have discussed this with me, some of you firmed it up, some of you not so much. So it goes through, select a text that interests you and explain why, choose the text, choose the way you're going to work through this, examine and evaluate the texts, consider how and whether the values embedded into one text parallel and change with other texts, and then create an imaginative and analytical multimodal presentation. So we'll go into more depth about what that all is and what it means, okay? And then it's got the how do you do it steps. And there are 5 steps there, and then there's the top band answer information. So that's all the information there. What I tried to do is break that down into weeks for you. So if we pop into this week here, firstly, I've put the text choice in here. One of you have put your text choices in. I need all of you to do that. I need you to do it our very first lesson. That's really, really important. If we click into here, the weeks 1 to 3 work. So over the first 3 weeks of term, you should be focusing on the reading and researching. Below is a guide of what you may be working on. This isn't set out in stone. This is your independent research project. So I've suggested that you put your research notes in this doc to begin with, just so you can keep coming backwards and forwards to it. And then, of course, in time, once you start to build that momentum, you will be putting it into your online journal, and then for those final submissions. So step 1, consider the relationship between the text and its culture. So these are some questions that you want to explore and research and find answers for. How you choose to answer them is up to you. It might be through YouTube clips, videos, your own written analysis, pulling extracts from texts. I want you to find a range of diverse ways to analyze and look through your understanding. So do some context research on the time the text was written, the author, and the possible motivations for writing it. Begin by considering some of the cultural influences involved in your text. For example, the Hunger Games condemn social inequality, corruption, and the power. Dracula deals with religion, the afterlife, the Victorian era, and medicine. Has culture influenced the writing of your text, or has the text influenced culture? So these are the sorts of questions. And then step 2, explore the language of the text and examine the ways in which language shapes and reflects your the values. So now that you've an understanding of the context, you can begin to analyze how authors use language and literary techniques. So this is that literary analysis, and you might like to use a document like we do when we've been studying Animal Farm, in terms of looking at the meaning and finding textual evidence. So then in week 3, there'll be a checkpoint, and this will be a conversation presenting the information that you have thus far, what questions you might have, and your progress on this particular document. So I'll be checking through this document to see how you're going and giving you feedback. You can connect in with me via this document as well. And then once we feel that we're on the right track, I'll say, rightio, let's move all of this and make sure we've got it into our official online journal. This is our starting point. I hope that helps. This is what we're working on for the next 3 weeks, but we'll have those verbal conversations as well. We're going to be online in class each lesson. So that will really support you in moving forward with this.